UPR, UPR. Football Rangers are on the up and up. UPR, UPR. Now we're heading for European Cup.
Right, good evening, or good morning, or good afternoon, depending on where you listen to the podcast today, tomorrow, or the day after. This is Open All Ours. We are a QPR podcast. We have 3 QPR fans with me. I am Paul Finney. I'm not important. We have Rahul, again, back on the pod. Good to see you, big man.
Good to see you too.
Been back to the States recently?
Going this weekend for a wedding.
Yeah?
We're already off topic. It took us like 20 seconds.
So where's the wedding?
Ithaca, New York.
Oh, so it's New York.
Yeah.
You're not going like down south or
No, but it's pretty country New York.
Well, that's nice.
It's in the middle of nowhere.
That's nice, isn't it? I went to New York once. It was when QPR were playing Millwall away. And I met me a QPR fan. Actually, it was good crack. I enjoyed New York. I did like New York. Anyway, and then we have Thom Gibbs of the Telegraph, spelt with an H.
Yes, very true. The Telegraph and Thom both with an H in them.
I see. I just can't do them sort of word association jokes.
Sorry, I don't mean to victimise you.
No, you're all right. I was
It's my
victimised.
line of work. It's all about letters.
I was victimised by God. He got there first. So, you know. Anyway, welcome back.
Thank you
It's
very
been a
much.
long time.
It's been a while, yeah.
Yeah.
I think Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank might have been our manager last time I was in.
I often like saying Thom. Sorry, Mom, we'll get to you in a second. I often like saying Thom away match because he always pretends he doesn't know me.
No, come on.
It's like, all right, Thom. It's like you know, you sort of like go, Dave. I can't say it.
I've got terrible facial recognition skills, so if anyone's hair ever changes,
I
don't
haven't got any
recognise
how
them
you
anymore.
see that's too. But no, it's like Partridge. Dave, Alan, whatever it was.
Dan.
Dan. Oh, see again. I just let myself down. Anyway, marvelous Marv is on the podcast tonight from Twitter, and he's just done a heavy metal sign that nobody can see on Twitter or on the podcast. Well, thanks for coming on and doing the heavy metal sign that no one can see. Why did you do a heavy metal sign?
What's up, QPR peeps? Marvellous Marv.
Huh? That's a new one on me. Right.
Awkward.
That's not awkward. There's normally me they talk about subtitles. Do you know what, lads? We need to thank Rod Crawford for the beers. He's been a good lad. Thank you very much. You give us some beers, so thank you, Rob. And hopefully see you at Rangers for a beer face to face one day. Right, it's been a week. I got to tell you a story about Norwich first of all, because I went to Norwich last week with my daughter and 3 of her friends, and it's very strange going to an away game with your daughter and 3 other girls. Not because it's girls really out there, but like he just reminded me of it. I had no idea what they were talking about at any point.
Because of the accent.
No, because of the way they talk.
I said
the
peeps. I said
girls.
peeps.
You're all right. But I couldn't understand anything. And the way they talk and everything, and then get in the ground, and we had to run to the ground, and this is no word of a lie. They were there 10 minutes before me, because I got the last parking space. It was a right rush. As usual, my drive was too slow. So, and then I bumped into the Benwell brothers. Hello, if you're listening, by the way. And just was out of breath. I couldn't speak for 20 minutes. And they're just sitting there singing, dancing, clapping. It's just, when you get old, it's not nice. Stay young, stay beautiful. Don't get old, people. It's just horrible. Old age is not good. Anyway, talk about Norwich, which I'll cover quickly. Decent enough first half. Second half, went to sleep. Got punished for 2. Second goal we couldn't think about. Should have closed them down. But, come on. 2 home wins, a draw, and 1 defeat. You'd bite someone's arm off for this, wouldn't you, really? I mean, what do you think, Rahul?
Yeah, I thought it was a great outcome against Hull in particular, especially some of the tactical changes by Holloway in the second half to break down the kind of very defensive formation that Hull went into. I thought bringing on Smith was a pretty solid choice. Because you'd see when they started the match, or at least the start of the second half, Hull shifted into a 5-4-1, and they were really kind of crowding the midfield, and Freeman and Luongo and Scowen weren't really getting the touches in the dangerous spots they needed to get the ball to. So they brought on Smith. It changed everything, allowed another option. They were able to start finally playing crosses with a bigger target as opposed to the smaller guys there. So really was a very astute change to bring on Smith.
Yeah. Do you think he started the game with 5 at the back, Rahul? I was having a disagreement with Clive Whittingham about this yesterday because every time
Friend of the podcast.
friend of all QPR fans, every time I
And
looked,
the kick up the arse and the programme.
he's a wonderful man.
He's a great man.
Every time I looked at our
I'm a
formation
pint.
from my seat, it looked like 4-4-2 to me.
Yeah.
Did you see a change to that? At
Yeah,
some point? Was I being silly?
Yeah, no. At some point, I think in the second half, they took off Campbell, and then they basically.
Sorry, QPR. Did we start 5-3?
Oh, yeah. I would say we were kind of a 3-5-2. That was the formation, or maybe you might say a 3-4-1-2 with Freeman kind of being a little bit ahead of the 2 other midfielders. But yeah, I'd say it was like a 3-5-2.
Total football, basically, is what.
Yeah, I mean, at the very end of the match, it was like I would say it was like we had like 9 strikers on the pitch, so maybe like a 1-5-5 or something like that. But
It didn't seem that to me. I thought from where I sat and watched it, I thought we actually played it really well in the second half. We absolutely held him. We hit them on the break. We controlled the midfield again. Scoring is just a great signing. I mean, he's such a good ball player as well as. I mean, we were talking about this in the pub before, and not that we've been to the pub, people. That would be wrong before a podcast. We're professionals. I mean, Tom's been on Fighting Talk, don't you know? How many times have you been on Fighting Talk, Tom?
I think it might be 9.
And you've actually won it.
I've won it twice. I beat Matt Smith in Fighting Talk once. Matt Smith and Richard Osman.
People keep talking about Matt Smith. I wonder if he's going to be in the show tonight. Anyway, yeah, Rich, the Fulham fight. Did you have any? Did he say anything about Rangers?
I got in a 2-footed tackle at the beginning on Richard Osman when I did Fighting Talk things. It was Matt Smith who was a Fulham player when he was on Fighting Talk, and I said, "There's a Fulham player here, and there's one Fulham fan here. It's like going to one of their away matches."
Oh,
Bosh!
and did it go tumbleweed moment?
No, it was a similar reaction to yours, Paul.
All right, because Colin Murray's got a soft spot for QPR. I don't know if you know this.
It was the Josh Whittaker era that this was.
You could have told me before I said that. Josh,
That's very hard to do, Paul.
well, I suppose so, because if you could read my mind, you'd be a friggin' genius. Because I don't even know what I'm thinking half the time. Anyway, well done on winning Fighting Talk.
Thanks very much.
I feel that we're it's like radio royalty when you go on Fighting Talk. I mean, I don't even get in Channel 5 these days.
But back to Josh Scowen. He is a marvellous player, isn't he? He's got a pass on him, which perhaps he didn't.
Who does he remind you of?
Well, when he said, what did he say when he joined us? Was it, I'm a terrier, I'm a wasp or something?
rat?
A little rat, that was it.
Something like that, yeah.
That was it. So I expected a sort of Mark Bircham fella, like a little bit limited on the ball and just giving it to someone a bit more gifted next to him. But he was dropping deep and spraying it wide really beautifully, I thought, against Hull. And didn't really put a foot wrong. And my worry with him is that he has made Ryan Manning second choice, and but I think there will come a time in the season where you want Scowen and Manning in your team, and you just have one more creative player in front of them.
But I feel like he's definitely been the the hard man we've been lacking. I think, for example, I think one of the things that I think Carl Henry was lacking was kind of protecting that back four, back three, whatever you want to call it, and obviously was part of the reason why he kind of got slated, because he didn't have that hard man dominance. But I think Scowen has kind of showed that. Like, definitely, to be honest, he's really protected that back four, back three, whatever you want to call it. And I think it's definitely been a key signing. One of the things that I think that has really helped us is that it's probably the first time in a long time that we've not bought 5 or 6 new players. We've got a stable squad, which it's been kind of been a blessing for us, really. All the players know each other, and you've got to give fair play. I know a lot of fans, even myself, are definitely eating humble pie at the moment. We're playing really well. And I was not expecting that at all. I felt that Reading, a draw. I thought Sheffield Wednesday would get battered. Norwich, we did lose, but we weren't disgraceful. And I thought Hull City were a Premiership team last season. Yeah, they were missing a couple of key players. But we looked really decent. Before they scored, which was a stupid goal, which I don't know how that went in.
Unlike us.
Yeah, we really played well. And it's kind of like, I feel like basically, I thought these players are very good footballers. I think we've got a very good potential team. And I think one thing I have to say we've been lacking with past managers, we've been lacking that fight. And I feel like Holloway's kind of brought that fight in them. Like, I haven't seen it. When was the last time we've seen QPR come back like that?
I think about the same time Jesus came up for Friday fish and chips. It's been a while. I mean, the thing is, I found... That wasn't bad. Thanks for laughing. That's the first time you've ever laughed on these podcasts.
That was your first
I've
Jesus
ever
joke.
said, apart from something stupid. Thank you for that. Rahul. Buy your pound afterwards. No, do you know what I think Josh brings to the team? And I'll tell you that, I mean, I might be wrong, but I've been watching him. All right, I know I'm half blind and not great. But his reading of the game is his main weapon. We haven't had that for so long. He knows he's working himself. He's going into spaces. He's finding players. He's doing the simple. When you have a player, like we used to have, for older listeners, we used to have Neil and indoors. They made fullbacks look easy because they were so good. We didn't realise how good they were at the time, but they were excellent fullbacks because they did the simple things. And that's half the problem being a footballer. Like Paul Parker made defending look really easy, even though it's an art form. And I really like what he does that way. But also, I just think, I mean, maybe you guys disagree with me, if we can just find a natural-born finisher, we could really push this season.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of the issue with the last match, until we scored the goal and brought on Matt Smith, was I think teams now can probably figure out how to stop Mackey and Washington up front, which is basically when you have those two guys up front, the ball moves up the pitch through the midfield. So if you just crowd the midfield, you prevent the ball from going up the pitch.
Okay.
That's why Smith helped, because you were able to finally play the long balls. He was a nuisance. Also, if you have Mackey and Washington on the pitch together, you can't really play crosses into the box because they're both pretty small. They're not really great aerially. So I think Scowen and Freeman
Didn't one
in
of them
particular.
score a header against Reading?
Yeah, that was a sitter, though. But the thing with Scowen and Freeman is that Scowen really, he makes a simple pass, but he really knows how to pick out the passes. And Freeman is just so good at kind of just buzzing into little tiny pieces of space. And the two of them, I mean, that was what was happening in the beginning of the second half when we were having difficulty breaking them down, as we were playing a lot of intricate stuff, but there was just no final product. But the fact that we were doing that and passing so successfully kind of within the final third was a very promising sign, but we do need the finisher.
Is the answer not a big man next to one of Washington or Mackey? Like Silla and Washington feels like a thing that could be happening, but potentially not against Cardiff, which might be call for a slightly more defensive outlook, but possibly in the future.
I don't see why you can't play Smith and Silla together.
I wasn't convinced against Northampton. I wasn't convinced with those two up front. I think they're a little bit too
You've got to get more
similar.
than one game left.
Seems
I know.
It seems to bring out the worst in the team as well, doesn't
Maybe.
it? Having those two
I
targets up front.
like the setup where having Mackey and Washington at the moment up front, and worst comes to worst, and we're struggling, bring on Smith and Silla. But one of the things, not obviously this turned into the Josh Scowden show, but since he's come in, you have to say Luongo and Freeman, we're giving way more attacking threat.
That's true.
We look way more like we're going to score goals now.
love
Like, Luongo always seemed like, I feel harsh, but kind of like sometimes supporting Carl Henry sometimes and supporting the defence. But Luongo now is attacking, Freeman's attacking more. I just feel like we look more like we're going to score a goal now than we did last season.
I've always felt with someone, I mean, I've often been criticised on Twitter for many things, but one of them was not being a big fan of Carl Henry, and I'm not. And that's because Carl Henry typifies the player we were signing on the way down. He'd been in the Premiership for so long, whereas Josh is a player on the way up, which is the complete opposite to what we should be saying, which is what we have now. I'll take that every day. I mean, Henry, to be fair, he might not have done many things wrong. I didn't particularly think he brought that much to the football club. Similar to Joey Barton, in fact.
Definitely,
I did like it the other day on Twitter. I don't know if you saw this, you guys. Yeah. Joey, I've never played for money. In his book, I only signed for QPR because of the money. Within 3 seconds, I saw the tweet come out and I was counting down to when a QPR fan was going to get his. So well done to the QPR fan.
Was he also not betting on football matches for the money?
Jesus. Talk about
he's
deluded.
just playing a number of elaborate psychological tricks on himself, isn't he, Joey Barton? Like he's really convinced himself that he is the person he thinks he is, but it's not fooling us.
In his head, he's probably the best player in the world. He still probably thinks that, really. To be honest with you, I really wish we didn't buy him. At first, when he first came, I thought, this could be a decent signing, but you think about how much he got paid and what he offered. Yeah, I feel like, wasn't really worth the money, was it, really?
I often think about that era. I just think if we'd have signed the players and the money, if just they tried that little bit extra, it might have gone so horribly wrong. But that's just a personal opinion. I'm not saying they weren't trying, but they weren't trying.
Well, at that time, our wage bill was higher than Atletico Madrid and Borussia Dortmund.
I used to hate that.
And
Combined?
Yeah, probably. No, it was terrible. And But, you know, I know, like, going back to the club and signing potential, I feel like, you know, the scouting system, I know, has been slated a lot for the players not being good enough, but we've been signing potential. And there's certain players that, you know, I feel like getting better every year. And it's about giving the players a chance, man. Like, you know, obviously we've got the example of the Ben Gladwins, who I feel like was, you know, totally, his confidence totally went with, obviously, with the booing in the club. But we've got some really good potential players, and we've got to egg them on and give them the confidence. All I ask for the fans really is the way how we were cheering them on social media after the game. Oh, we got this. This is the championship. We're going to go through we may go through a bad string of defeats this season. Let's just continue giving the players the confidence, because we don't want to be slating them and stuff. It's just going to ruin their confidence. Got to build them up. That's one thing we're lacking.
You're totally right, Marvin. I think what we saw with Loire in the first half was disgraceful, even before we knew what happened after the game when the club announced that his father had died the day before. Who do we think we are as fans that we can't weather a player having a bad half? Like, he wasn't playing well. He had a disastrous 10 minutes. He was completely at fault for the first goal. But when did we get so big for our boots that we can't, like, weather that as a fan base?
I think
we're not a team that is immune to having slightly poor players playing for us and not playing very well. And he was getting completely slated around me, and he didn't hide when he came out for the second half, and all credit to him.
No.
I think my issue with that is I think the money renders. You know, we're used to bringing 13, 14 players in every transfer window, and people were just, or people who speak proper English, window. They bring in the players in that we did, the wages that, you know, that idiot from Chelsea and so on. We just banned them and past reputations, and I guess we kind of spoilt it all. I mean, I remember. Do you know what I remember it changing? I don't know if you guys remember it when we played Chelsea in that cup match, and everyone was getting their £20 notes and waving at Chelsea fans. I'm like, this isn't the QPR that I know and love. This is a bit strange and very, very alien to me. Because I love the fact that we used to bring kids on. I love the fact that we used to scour the Welsh leagues, Irish leagues, Scottish leagues, whatever, find terms, develop, or, you know. I mean, I love Ben Aziz Scar when he came to QPR because it was no one ever heard of him, but he was a great player. We never signed him. That's what I know. But it's just, I think we got spoiled by money, and we're now living with the after effects of that. And maybe as we turn the club around, that will go. And like you said in the pub earlier on, which is brilliant, we can start to be loved again. Because people stopped loving QPR. When I was, you know, years ago, we were quite a trendy little club. People loved QPR. We were inoffensive. Let's face it, we let everyone beat us. But we had something special which no one else had.
A plastic pitch.
Don't talk about that frigging pitch. You know, people used to hate us over that pitch. Dave Kidd Jensen stopped supporting QPR because of the plastic pitch. What kind of dick does that? Seriously. You might not agree with some things in life, but to go from QPR to Crystal Palace over a plastic pitch, I've got to question your sanity. It's a bit strange, isn't it? Don't you think?
Yeah,
is that just me?
But yeah, no.
And Phil Collins, don't stop being him. Carry on.
Yeah, no, that is. I do agree. Going back to the initial point about
sorry.
the booing and kind of the attitude around the club. I mean, the other thing that people forget about Loire is that, I mean, so I will preface my comment by saying I don't think that he was a signing that we should have made. We're playing a 3-5-2. We don't really need kind of conventional wingers because we have wing backs. And if you look at the position he was playing as a right wing back, and there's three components to that word: right wing and back. And he's not a full back. He doesn't have the defensive ability. He doesn't have the work rate, and he's not a right-sided player either. I mean, he's more of an inverted winger who wants to come onto his right foot. Yeah. So you could see every time he was on the right-hand side, he just was trying to cut onto his left foot, but it wasn't working. So he's playing out of position as well. And players, I mean, the fact that fans were booing him so vigorously based off a few misplayed passes, you know, it was disappointing. I hope that the fans do the right thing, and maybe, you know, when he comes on the next time, he gets a standing ovation or whatever his number is. Maybe people give him kind of clap at whatever his number is, 25 or whatever.
Do you know what? It's quite sad because the lad was always having problems against Norwich, and obviously no one knew the situation with his father, and he wanted to play to make his father proud. It's a hard one, isn't it? I mean, that must be so soul-destroying for the fella. I mean, and you know, fans don't mean to be silly sometimes. Look, none of us do, you know. And I was feeling very sorry for him. I was gut-wrenched because I just think to myself, the courage that fella went. You know, you talk about your heroes to go on that pitch on Saturday after your father died, just to make your father proud. The man's a hero. Like, whatever happens from now on in his QPR career, I will always clap him because that that takes so much more courage than I could ever have.
Yeah, definitely kind of shows what kind of a person he is, really, isn't he? And
Yeah.
Definitely. But back to the point you were talking about, our fans being spoiled. I think some of the fans do forget about the hard times and about the players we had. I remember getting Danny Shittu and getting excited. I remember having like players like Bertrand, Gallen, Rowlands, Cook, Langley. That was QPR I fell in love with.
But you don't even need to go back. I mean, I'm older than you, Marv.
You definitely are.
Even though you look older than I.
Don't even try it. Don't even try it.
And you don't even. You had Clive Allen, you had Paul Goddard, you had all these players that came through, Phil Parks, all these things. We had that great association with our players. I mean, you speak to Don Shanks about QPR. He loves QPR. He loves what we went through. He might not have been the greatest player in some people's eyes, but it was special playing for QPR, and I think that's kind of coming back a little bit. It's us against the world, and that's where we've always been better. We're not good at being the favourites for anything, especially cup games. No. We're not good at that. We're rubbish at being favourites. It's nice to be the underdog, and we excel in being the underdog. Do you know what I mean? Before we speak to Matt Smith, which I promise we will do in a second, I'm a smug frigger when we do things right. When we beat Man U 4-1 and that day, I've got to be honest with you, I did love going to work the next day. I lived in Notting Hill, I worked in Notting Hill. There's probably more Man U fans, if you're being honest, in Notting Hill than there was Queen's Park Rangers supporters, but by God, we gave them buggers shit in the pubs for about 3 weeks after that game because the TV was like, they're going to win this, they can't do that. Their fans were giving us absolute dog's abuse, and I tell you what, it was brilliant. And that's what you live for. You don't live for the trophies, you live for the moments.
Definitely.
Do you know what I mean?
You don't support QPR to win trophies every season.
But the moments are brilliant. I mean,
without a doubt, definitely.
I remember when Les Ferdinand scored that goal against Sheffield United, which, is never really talked about, but I always remember because to me it was a coming of age for Les when he just ran down the whole pitch, took them all on and muscled them all out of the way and smashed it in, and you're like, shite! That's great. That's what you're supposed to do. Did
you have a similar feeling on Saturday when Idrissa Silla tapped it in from 2 yards after Connor Washington had inexplicably tried to lob the goalkeeper? And then showed everyone his sports bra.
That's a bit weird.
That was weird.
What are them things?
That was
I think they're good for your back.
Oh, really?
No. That's too weird, man. That's not good look.
It's a tracker. Neil, the engineer, who's a QPR fan, who's from Cork.
It's not a good look, though, man. Seriously.
Cork's a nice place, by the way. Right, let's enough of this nonsense and talking about sports bras of Championship. They say Premier League.
And this, by the way, is all an explanation as to why you can't understand 15-year-old girls. I think this is just a microcosm of.
I don't. I make no apology for it. Do you know what she made me do as well? She made me play Capital Extra all the way down there.
What's wrong with
Capital Extra?
All the hits.
What's
Jesus! I was very close to needing therapy. I mean, it was horrendous. I've never listened to such nonsense in all my life.
You don't like Drake?
What?
What's the problem with Stormzy, Paul?
Huh?
What's your problem with Stormzy?
Skepta?
Was that the Star Wars?
Skepta?
Right, let's get Matt Smith on the phone. Matt, thank you so much for joining the podcast tonight. It's really kind of you to take some time out and talk to us fans. Well done Saturday. How did that feel?
Yeah, brilliant. No, it was, we put in a really good performance, I thought. And, I thought we got what we deserved. And it's just, really enjoyable game, I'm sure, as much for the fans it was for the players as well. So good bit of feel-good factor going into Tuesday, obviously, but also the big game at Cardiff.
That's a massive game, isn't it, now?
Yeah, obviously they've started off really well. Won all their games. So, we got nothing to fear. We bring our game to them, and, I think we're a match for anyone, as we've shown. So it'll be an exciting game.
Hey, Matt, it's Rahul here. I had a quick question about about kind of the way you were deployed at the end of the match, particularly when Holloway brought on both had used Silla and Washington on the pitch, 3 strikers with about 25 minutes left. Yeah. How exactly, I guess there seemed to be some confusion from the sideline as to what each person's responsibility was for, and we've seen Ollie bring on 3 strikers at the same time. But when all 3 of you are on the pitch at the same time, what exactly are each of your roles?
Well, I think at that stage in the game, you've obviously got nothing to lose, and one thing I do really like about the manager, he never holds back, and if we're ever down, he'll chuck every attacking player he can onto the pitch to try and salvage a result. So at that stage in the game, it's just about getting bodies forward and getting in the box, and that's what the manager echoed to both me and Silla, was make sure you get yourself in the box and get on the end of things, and we were able to, which was great.
And on the defensive side, once we actually took the lead, what do you guys do as a group of three when you have three strikers on the pitch? What was conveyed to you guys? What were each of your roles?
Well, obviously you've got to get bodies behind the ball and try and make life as difficult for them as possible, and put your bodies on the line, which I think we did, especially in the latter parts. Obviously, there was a bit of a goalmouth scramble and just about being resilient, really, and still being brave. I thought we still managed to keep our composure, and it wasn't a case of just getting the ball away at all costs. We still managed to retain the ball a bit, which is good. Always the case, so it's easy to panic in those situations. But I think as a group, we held our composure, and obviously the mentality of someone like James Perch to stay on when he's severely injured is a testament to the sort of strength and the mentality of our group. I think Perchy summed that up for us, and obviously Kaz with the loss of his father as well to go out and put in the performance that he did. I think it's a testament to the mental strength and that we have as a group.
Hi Matt, Thom here. How you doing?
Hi Tom.
So the big topic in QPR fan forums at the moment is the fact that we haven't really signed that many players this summer. How do players feel about that? Are you happy that your place isn't coming under extra threat, or are you a little bit worried that the squad isn't improving?
Yeah, it's a difficult one. That I think the obviously well-trained media answer is to say something along the lines of it brings a lot of competition for places and it's all healthy. But I think the selfishness in you does partly but trying to get my words right here, but there is what you said, that element of, right, my position isn't under direct threat by a new player coming in, but at the same time, you've really got to obviously buck up your ideas and play as well as you can. I think the signing, obviously Josh Scowen was a terrific signing, but I'm assuming obviously it's quite a difficult market. If you look around the figures, that are getting bandied about for players now, especially even in the Championship, obviously that the knock-on effect of these ridiculous sums in the Premier League is obviously the value of these Championship players goes up. So it is extremely expensive to bring players in now. It's not a case of getting these cut price deals anymore. I think if you look at the businesses in January, getting Luke Freeman for 300 grand, I think looks like an incredible piece of business. So I think the QPR aren't going to try and be priced out, and they'll try and get value for money. And I know obviously the club's in good hands. We've got a fantastic owner who cares a lot about the club, and fantastic people who are going to try and do their best to get the best value for money they can in the market. But I can only assume it's an extremely difficult time because of the way the prices are sky high at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Fair to say, Matt, you've played under some quite big characters as managers. Who was more, shall we say, unique, Ian Holloway or Felix Magath at Fulham?
Sorry.
Two very different characters. No, I don't think you're going to come across a more animated character than Ian Holloway in world football. I think he's going to be a hard one to push, but no, I absolutely love him. He's a really genuinely great guy. As a group of players, we're the first one to say he's like crackers, but he's got no filter and he just says exactly what is on his mind. And that's what I think fans appreciate that as well, because often, as I said before, everything is just so scripted and media trained and very mundane answers all the time. But when you get someone like him who isn't afraid to speak exactly what the fans are probably thinking or the players are probably thinking, it's actually a real breath of fresh air. As opposed to getting these real generic answers that are just a bit grey and boring.
It's all about the 3 points.
Sorry?
It's all about the 3 points. We're just focusing on the next match.
Yeah.
He's as sick as a parrot.
But no, he's a great man. As for Felix Magath, I didn't get to work with him all that long because he left maybe 3 weeks after I joined. But again, very, very different kind of character. And obviously all the stuff that came out in the press probably showed him in a different light. But I was, thought he was a very respectful man, and I was only with him for a short period of time. But obviously, if you look at his career and the achievements and the accolades he's received as a manager as well, you can't take them away. So
to be fair, the last time I saw, sorry Matt, the last time I saw Felix, I'm sure it was in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yeah, well, that's some comment. Yeah.
Hi, Matt. It's Marv. How you doing, mate? You all right?
How's it going? You okay?
Yeah, good, mate. Still celebrating Saturday's win, really. But regarding pre-season, obviously one of the things as a fan I've noticed is the team seems way more fitter, way more up for the games than probably, don't want to be too harsh, but probably in last season, really. And also the team morale seems so high. What was pre-season like? And compared to, obviously, other pre-seasons you've had with other clubs?
I'd say similar. Like in terms, the way football teams are run are much these days. I think we had our 2 trips away, which were really good and beneficial. The first one particularly was really, really hard. Probably harder than a lot that I've had. We did this Brazy Hill run. Like I think we went up there 3 or 4 times, and it was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do in pre-season. And he kept saying it was just a proper mental battle to get up it. But that was really tough. But in terms of like the workload and the games, they're all hard. It's not like I'm sure club you might get away with a bit less running, but I'm sure the manager here is very used to sort of an old school way of working and getting the miles in the legs. So yeah, there was a lot more games, to be fair. I probably got a lot more match minutes than I've ever done in the pre-season, Paul, which is obviously beneficial and specific to what's going to happen in the season. But hard, double sessions, triple sessions. Had the 2 trips, plenty of hard opposition. So yeah, it was tough, but nothing hugely indifferent to what I've experienced before.
Yeah, it's one of the things I've just noticed. Obviously, our home games. I know we've only played 3 home games so far, but I just feel like there's this fight that I feel like we were lacking. How can I say the last 2-3 seasons really? And what can you say has been down to that really?
I'd say it's obviously the team spirit is second to none. I've been in many a dressing room before, and I can definitely vouch for that. And I think probably I do agree with what you alluded to before. We are a very fit side. I think even the testings that we've done this pre-season, the manager does this pyramid run test. It involves like a 1,000-yard shuttle run, essentially, just back and forth. You have to do it, and he says you have to do it in 3 minutes 30, and that's what he would consider your like a target for fitness. And when we came back in, we had lads like breaking 3 minutes, which he'd never seen in all his clubs before. He'd never seen as a collective.
Which lads, mate? You got to tell us.
And is it safe to say you weren't one of them? Or?
No, I was.
Bit harsh. You don't know.
But no, I was definitely one towards the back. But I think even Ed Manure alluded to after day 2, he said this is comfortably the fittest group of lads I've ever seen in my career.
Matt, now I've always got this thing when people come on the podcast, I always ask them, have they any links to Northern Ireland? Anything at all? Have you been to the Jan's Causeway? Have you had an Ulster Fry? Why are you laughing? I'm looking for a new centre forward.
I've played pre-season game there once. I think that's my only trip.
So
school trip.
you don't go to Russia in the World Cup or anything?
No, I've got no links, unfortunately.
Do you want me to pretend you're my brother? We'll get away with it. I'm 5'4". Well, listen, there's no reason why you can't pass as my younger brother, even though I'm 48.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. And
all right, I'm trying.
Now is my serious question, Matt. Does it ever bother you when there's really bad headlines about footballers or footballers do things wrong? People go, "What do you expect as a footballer?" Because you're, without patronising you, which again probably people do, would say, "Oh, Matt, he's got a very good education. He's a proper footballer." Does it annoy you that people have such low opinions of footballers?
To be fair, I don't really let those sort of opinions affect my mentality personally. it's difficult. Obviously, it's easy to make sweeping generalisations about footballers, and in a lot of instances, I'm sure they don't help themselves. But I think it could happen to I don't think it's footballers specifically. I think obviously if you drop. I appreciate they have to be role models, and I think certainly at QPR, I don't think there's ever any issues with that. But in the wider regard, I don't know. It's just, I think it boils down to temptation. If you give a young guy a potload of money, dead young, and give him all that temptation and that sort of like spotlight, I think it takes a certain type of mentality to rise above it and to keep a level head. And I think those that do tend to go to the top, and those that tend to fall by the wayside. And it happens. I think that's human nature at the end of the day. But I think certainly, personally speaking, I don't really let any of that stuff faze me or affect me. And people are always going to write about anything. So I tend to keep myself away from all that sort of stuff.
Because I personally think you should win Tweet of the Year. After when you got the stitches in your face, and you're like, 6 more stitches. That's 30 in total. Like, that's got to be one of the best footballers' tweets ever. Because that's the side people don't see. Is like, you get bashed up in that field. Sometimes it's not so pretty, and you do put your head where other people wouldn't put their feet. So fair play to that one. But how many stitches do you reckon you've got all over there? Do you reckon now?
I know how many. I've got 33. I've always kept count. I've got 23 in my eyebrows.
Ooh.
4 in my nose, 6 in my cheek. As I did that.
Jeez.
So yeah, that's the game, but small price a day, I think.
How many of the defenders got?
Probably not as much, to be honest. I think I'm the one who gets difficult. That's one thing it does irritate me is when refs look at you and look at your height and think that you should be able to handle anything. You know what I mean? You should be able to take shoves and just less protection. But yeah, I always make them aware that the laws are definitely the same for me as it is for the smaller guy.
That's quite. Now, one thing I will touch on seriously, we should talk about is the game for Grenfell, which is happening Saturday week. An amazing thing our club is doing. As a fan, I'm so proud that it's sad we're having to do it. But it's just horrendous, the whole thing, Matt. So you guys, honestly, the pride you're putting back in the club by getting involved and helping them people is unbelievable.
Yeah, no, it's a great thing. Not just QPR, but also all the London clubs, sort of footballing community coming together to put on such an amazing event. If you look at all the celebrities and the people of influence, really coming together to promote this game, it's going to be a fantastic occasion for what was obviously a horrific and harrowing thing. I don't think anyone wasn't tremendously shaken by what happened. Obviously, for it to be local as well, it's just truly shocking. I could see the incident from the house, so it's a tragic thing. But obviously, for what and the wider community are doing to help the cause, and those that have been affected, not so directly affected, but the family and the friends, is unbelievable. And as you said, it does genuinely bring a large element of pride to me, and I know to my teammates as well, and to the club that we're doing something like this. Fantastic.
And it's also a wee bit strange, because if you actually look down South Africa Road, you can actually see the tomb. It's just such. Yeah. It's just so. People talk about footballers. I mentioned it with yourself because obviously you've had the right schooling and everything else. People always give players such a bad press and bad timing, but in things like this, people don't lose where they come from. They don't lose a local area, and it's so good that Rangers are doing this, and hopefully as many fans can get down as possible. And another thing you did, by the way, last year, which you might not remember, I live in Barnet, right? Don't hold that against me. It's a nice place. And you gave your shirt to a wee fella from Barnet last year who's disabled. Because
Aaron.
Yes, his brother tweeted you. My daughter knows him, and you made people very, very, very happy, Matt. So thank you so much.
Oh, no.
That's. I mean, I hate the fact you guys always get a bad press, but that was a brilliant wonderful gesture, and that's what makes our club special. That's why, you've got a fan for life there, big man, I can tell you. And I keep saying big man, by the way, we all say that from Northern Ireland. We call everyone big man.
No,
Even if you're the
no,
crankies,
I
you
think,
get called big man.
Yeah,
I think those little things obviously do go unnoticed, particularly footballers. Those sort of instances I see. A lot of all the clubs I've been at. The footballers do a lot of charitable work, and yeah, you're right when you say a lot of that does go unnoticed, and more eye-catching headlines tend to take go to the fore. But there's plenty of instances where players do that, and especially at QPR. I think the trust and the community there is second to none. It's something I've got quite heavily involved with since I've been here. I've done a lot of those, things with the trust, and some of the stuff they're doing is absolutely fantastic. Andy Evans, who heads that up, he's a top bloke, and he does a lot of amazing things for the community. So, that Grenfell thing was just one of a few incredible things I've seen. So, as you said, it's a great family club, and it's great to be involved in as like an adopted West Londoner now. I've been here 3 years, and I definitely feel at home here.
But you're with a club with a proper West London postcode now, Matt. That's the difference. But you mentioned Andy. Andy is actually, very boring fact, Andy used to live above me in my old council estate. And
That is boring, Paul.
thanks, Thom. Just because you've won Fighting Talk, don't come here and give it large, all right? And he does a lot of brilliant work. He never gets any credit. He's very happy to say in the shadows, but Andy Evans is a true QPR legend in every sense of the way. The things he's done for the community, what they do with the older people, the younger people, the kids that go there for their homework. My problem with Rangers is we don't big ourselves up enough in these things that we do. We are a brilliant community club, but very few people know it, and I just wish we'd just promote that more.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree.
Now listen, we're going to wrap the interview up quickly. We're going to go around the table one more time. We're playing Cardiff on Saturday. Can you do me a big favour? Can each one of you guys give Loa a big hug before the game, because the courage that fella showed to play on Saturday was just amazing. And
incredible.
Yeah, I couldn't do, Matt, I tell you, I couldn't do what he did.
No, I don't think many could. I don't think many could at all. We were made aware of it on the sort of the Friday morning, and I think we were all just pretty chill out. And, looking obviously, natural, obviously extremely natural. He had a different sort of body language, but the way he carried himself that day and the way he carried himself through the game, and it was incredible. Testament to the guy who's a top line.
Seriously, whatever happens in Cardiff on Saturday, make sure the fella is the first person that walks towards the QPR fans, because we will give him a hell of a reception, I promise you.
I'm sure of it.
Matt, on the topic of good press around footballers and being an atypical footballer, I'm from America, and I don't know if you know this, but I have this theory that in 2000... You
sound like to be cranky.
Yeah. I have a theory that in 2013 you were the most well-known League One striker in the U.S., and it was because of your performance against Liverpool, and then it was around the time when football wasn't very big in the U.S. and it was starting to trickle in, and we used to get FA Cup matches. So everyone watched your Liverpool match, and then the media ran with the story about you being having a degree and whatnot. So I won't ask you about your degree or anything, but I am curious, excluding yourself, who are kind of the other particularly bright players on QPR? Who would you rank as
I can think of two.
As the smart guys on the club?
Mark Bircham.
Not Birchie, definitely not Birchie.
All our Birchams are available.
Yeah, let him know. I'll tell him tomorrow.
Good man.
Nedham's
going to be up there, isn't he?
Few bright spots. Yeah, Nedham. Nedham's one of a kind. You won't meet many footballers like Nedham. He's very, very articulate. He's very, he's a one of a kind type guy. These type of professionals that have a bit of an aura about them and a presence, and you wouldn't ever say anything untoward towards Nedham under any circumstance. He just has that presence. I had it at Thom with Scott Parker. There's a certain type of character, a certain type of player that just carries that respect without even demanding it. It's just they are that special type of character, and Adam's definitely that. And yeah, he's a very smart guy as well.
Yeah, on the topic of intelligence, are there, without causing too many problems in the dressing room, are there any players that you want to single out as maybe being a little bit less bright?
Yeah, Sean Goss for sure. Gormless, yeah, very slow. Just he's not the brightest tool in the box.
You didn't even hesitate.
I remind him all the time.
So you don't think he's got like a degree in anything, or?
No, definitely not.
But I like the fact what you talked about earlier on about the referees, because I've noticed you talk to referees a hell of a lot, and now I know what you're saying to them. I think that's brilliant. Do the same rules apply to defender as a forward? Because you do wonder sometimes, the refs, don't you?
Yeah, well, obviously a lot of my game is revolved around contact with other players, so invariably there's going to be a lot of fouls going either way, and I tend to make my opinion known as to how I feel about it, and just to make sure I get proper protection, really, especially when balls are in the air. I'm not really looking to put I have the confidence in myself that I'm going to win the ball soon more often than not. It's the defender that's doing something to try and prevent that happening. So it's make sure that the ref's aware that what he's doing isn't usually allowed. So there tends to be a lot of bickering about that, really.
Matt, if you were your own manager, how would you deploy Matt Smith? What sort of formation? Would you have a partner? What would the tactics be?
I tend to always work best with bodies around me. So, I definitely play with a partner. Connor's a great foil for me in terms of what he offers the team. And then, someone like a Luke Freeman, I played very well with Ross McCormack. Those people that can put balls into the box, top quality delivery. I think if I've got that and I've got someone alongside me, I think that's, stands me in good stead. And I've always tended to score my goals in teams that operate that way.
Matt, sorry, it's Marv again. How good is this squad? Obviously, you've played with different teams throughout your career. Me personally, I feel like this team is a very good team, and I felt kind of lacked confidence last season. How good is this team?
How do I view the squad? Did you say?
Yes. Sorry,
yeah. It's largely the same group, but obviously the manager's had a pre-season, so implement his ideas, which has massively helped. Last season it was weird because after the January we started off so brightly and we had a really good spot. I think we were top in the form guide for a while, and then it's just that after that last international break, things went a bit Pete Tong, which is obviously very annoying and frustrating as a group. But I think at that stage it was difficult because the season was sort of frittering away, and when you don't have anything to play for, and it becomes very difficult. As much as a group players, you want to churn in good performances every week. Now we've got sort of a fresh slate, and we've got to focus on where we want to go. Hopefully we can drive on, because as I said before, we've had time to work on things, and fitness is good, and team spirit's good. So no, it's looking positive. Yeah,
definitely. I definitely see the team way more confident than it was last season, which is always a good sign for as a fan like myself, really. But just keep doing what you're doing, and please win on Tuesday, and definitely 3 points on Saturday, and make it continue.
Yeah.
And an FA Cup run, and a promotion, and 6 numbers in lottery.
Fantastic. Sounds good to me.
Matt, seriously, thank you so much for coming on our podcast.
No problem.
And it's been great to talk to you. But seriously, give our best to Loa, and hopefully he'll be...
Will do.
He'll understand that a lot of fans didn't realise the situation, and some people may think their actions weren't that class on Saturday, but we're all behind the big man. We're all behind you, and tomorrow night, hopefully you'll be playing. Sink a few past Brentford, put them back in their place, and go to Cardiff and remind Neil that he should never have left QPR in the first place. Nothing major to happen there, big man. But seriously, thank you for spending the evening with us, and good luck Saturday, fella.
Yep, thanks, Matt.
And
Thanks, guys.
if you need to play for Northern Ireland, give us a shout, yeah?
Sounds good.
Nice one, mate.
Thanks
Cheers, pal. Bye.
Cheers.
Well, seems like he's never had an ulcer fry then. Oh well, not to worry. On to the next one. Wow, okay. Good interview. Nice fella.
Nice guy.
Yeah. I mean, we're getting this a lot this season. Everyone that's been in the podcast thus far has been brilliant. Has been very open, very honest. Maybe a little bit too honest in what he said about some people like Sean Goss. I don't think we're looking forward to see him training tomorrow. But yeah, what a breath of fresh air on the community side of it. these sort of things put you in a good stead, don't you? You kind of think football's a kind of a sad issue sometimes. It's about the club. I don't know what you guys think, but I'm proud of our club at the moment, and that's coming from me, and I'm one of the biggest criticisers of QPR at times.
No, definitely. As a local lad myself, it was definitely a proud moment, especially going to the ground and see, obviously, due to the Grenfell Tower, what happened to that, obviously, to that state, and how the club responded. It was, I've never, it definitely melted my heart, definitely, seeing how the club responded, really, and I'm going to be proud to be a QPR fan.
Well, I live around the corner from there. I used to live in the Brunel Estate, which you can see from there, and just, it could have been any of us. That's a horrible thing to say.
It's a hard estate.
It could have been. We it's, I don't want to get political, but them people didn't deserve that.
No, definitely.
No one does, and I don't care where they came from. I don't care if they were legal. I don't care if they were illegal. No one deserves that.
Exactly, and I think also people need to think about, what if that was your family?
Exactly.
That's the thing, can't speak for everyone, but we're probably living comfortable lives. But that could have been our family member. I had a close friend of mine. Sorry, I don't mean to air out his business, but I had a very, very close friend of mine, and he lost his family members up there. And yes, he was born in this country. Yeah, maybe he's from Morocco descendant, but he was born in this country. His parents, his family members were not illegal, and he lost his family members. So please think about that before, tweeting on Twitter about these people are illegal. Just think about these are human beings. I think that's one thing we do forget. I'm sorry to go for a rant, but
no, you're all right. I mean, my sister teaches kids around there, and people don't realise this, but a lot of the kids the next day went to take their exams and turned up absolutely distraught. The way they do it, they measure you during the year to how you take your exam. The percentage drop in them kids that day was incredible. And a lot of them, I think, should be allowed to take their exams again, because you tell me how the hell you can take an exam after seeing that. And it's just, but anyway, we're getting a bit too heavy, but it is local. That's the thing. It is part of our culture. It is part of our community. And I'm so proud that the club have done it. I wish we didn't have to do it. I really wish to God I didn't go past that building and see it. I seen it, and it was horrible. It's just one of the worst things I've ever seen. And I grew up in the Troubles, and we've seen some bad things, but that is definitely one of the worst things I've ever seen. But local lads like Kevin, Les, Andy Impey, they can speak about it as well. They're hopefully going to be playing next week, and we'll get as many fans down there as possible. Get a good carnival atmosphere going, keep it going, lads, and remember that this club is more than just a football club, and thank God for that, because I don't want to sit there with a remote control on TV. QPR is your soul, and that's part of our community. Raid Ours End. Sorry about that, people. I got very dark and very sombre, but I lived around there, I grew up around there, even though I haven't got the accent, and it hurts. Last week, again, God, I'm being sombre again. Norwich, I seen one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen in a football match in my life with my daughter and her friends. I seen a QPR disabled fan abused by Norwich supporters. A few. I tell you what, I'm so proud of the Norwich fans who dealt with it, got the stewards involved, and got the people ejected from the ground and banned for life. So much respect for that. I know the person involved. He's home and away. He's proper QPR. No one should ever do that to a disabled fan. I don't care if you're a QPR fan or anyone. There for the grace of God go I. But Richard, seriously, fella, you dealt with it brilliantly, and you held your dignity. Sad that some people don't have any dignity. Second, Ours End. I do normally 3.
Three's par.
Ours ends, yeah.
Yeah. I don't understand what that
Does
meant.
that mean one of us gets to do one?
You can do as many as you want. I don't care if Fraser's going to phone you tomorrow. I'll tell you what, you do your Ours End, and I'll come back with what I was going to say. Carry on, Rahul, go on.
I
no
guess,
one's listening now.
Yeah, I guess I'll do more than one Ours End. But the first one I'll say is I really enjoyed the Clint Hill interview last week, and I also just wanted to point out for a very tough, hard man, he has a very endearing laugh. I just thought his laugh was so adorable. So I'm just going to put that out there.
You're
Please,
the first person to say that.
I'm just going to put that out there. But the other thing is, I guess I'll just maybe phrase this as a question. But what do Yenny Jack Robinson, Petrasso, Sean Goss, Grant Hall, Jordan Cousins, and Stephen Cocker all have in common? Anyone know? So these are all senior pros who didn't even make the reserve. Some of them are injured, but that's 7 or 8 pretty solid players who aren't even making the team, let alone not getting on as subs. And then behind them we have Chair, Easy, Shodipo, Hamalainen. So I keep on hearing a lot about players wanting to get brought in.
Austin Kakai.
Kakai, yes. So many players that there's so much discussion about signing more and more players. And, from my perspective, I think someone like Easy is a player, or Chair as a player, but then you have guys like Petrasso ahead of him. So I think the club really needs to think about what we're going to do with these young players, because if you have a guy like Chair or Easy or Hamalainen and they're not going to get a chance to play, just send them out on loan. We need to start seeing more of these players going out on loan, because they're not going to improve in the under 23s. And sitting in the reserves they're going to lose their confidence, they're going to lose their motivation. So these players need to be moved to continue advancing their careers.
My Oz end is...
You're on fighting talk.
Stop it, Paul. It's about Brighton and Hove Albion, who I've been watching a little bit in the Premier League.
I did a wedding last night for a Brighton fan. Carry on.
Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
They give me horrible flashbacks, Brighton. They've got this 36-year-old fullback, Bruno, who is, for Bruno, club legend, been there for years, and just getting roasted. Reminds me a little bit of Clint Hill, unfortunately. Do you remember that Liverpool game when Suarez just absolutely destroyed him in about 2 minutes? It's horrible watching Brighton. They're not quite good enough, and they're trying to hang in games, but they're nowhere near. And it really reminds me of watching QPR in the Premier League. And you know what? I'm glad we're not in the Premier League. I'm much, much happier watching us in the Championship.
I missed the Premiership, sir.
You missed the Premier. It's not been the Premiership since 2007.
I don't miss us losing.
Song.
I don't miss us losing every week, but I'd love to be back in the Premiership.
Why?
Because it's the Premiership.
Nice place to visit, but I wouldn't want to live there.
No, no, I do miss it. No, look,
Really?
No, but personally, I don't think we're ready for the Premiership. I think we need some stability in the Championship.
Go back a bit. What do you miss about the half and half scarves?
No, I don't miss
bollocks
that.
It's written about your football club by people who don't understand
It's
it.
the fact that we'll get a chance to play Chelsea twice a season, get to play Arsenal, and just to upset those teams. Oh man, I do miss it. Definitely. I don't miss that team we had in the Premiership, but if we in the future, if we continue this attitude, this stability of bringing youth players in, this nice young QPR, and this team goes to the Premiership, maybe next season or in a couple of seasons or 3 seasons, I think that this team will show a bit more. Look at Huddersfield. Season before, they almost got relegated. Now, look at them now, undefeated in the Premiership.
So Tom, just to clarify, if we come in second, would you want QPR to just be like, no, we're good, we'll just stay here?
I'll take it.
So what are you talking about then?
I believe, Rahul, it's what you would call a vacation in the Premier League. But it's just
We can have
it's tough, isn't it? I think it's an interesting point about Huddersfield. They look brilliant, but Blackpool look brilliant at this stage when they were in the Premier League and they went down at the end of it. It does catch up with you. There's that horrible weight of the fact that there's 6 or 7 teams who are just on a completely different level to everyone else. We had a brilliant season when we stayed up the first time under Warnock and Hughes. And we bloodied a few noses, but largely you just get so horribly punished for every mistake.
No,
and if you look at that whole game, they had about 3 chances to bury us in that game, and Smithy saved us, and then Paul finishing saved us. And that to me is more fun than just being absolutely disgraced every week.
Do you know what I hate about the Premiership more than anything?
Premier League, come on!
Premier League.
It's not been the Premiership for so long. It does my head in.
All right, Jesus. You can like stamps.
I know. I have to read a lot of people's words and correct them in my job, and like Premiership.
We could be here a long time with me, big man. A long time. Out of interest, do you know train numbers and things?
No, my dad's more into that. I've got that in my later life, I think.
Excellent. Yeah. Anyway, what I find about not being part of the Premier
League.
Thank you. And all that nonsense is you haven't got the whole horribleness of everything scrutinised and the whole papers care about you and the media care about you and you're on the back page for this. You go to the Championship, you might as well go to Mars or live way, I don't know, no offence to Matt Winter and else lives in Isle of Wight, but being in the Championship is equivalent of living in the Isle of Man or the Isle of Wight. You're there and you get a little bit of attention and again, but no one really cares in some respects in the big centre of England and all the UK and Northern Ireland. But
I do feel like before we can make that jump in the Premier League.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. we need to sort out our training ground. We need
Exactly.
we need to go back to basics. Instead of buying players and spending 60 grand a week on, know it all on the Twitter, like Barton and those kind of players, let's just sort out the training ground, sort out the stadium. Let's get the things done right properly first. Get the foundations correctly for Queen's Park Rangers. And then we can think about other things. But we really do need to focus on the main foundation of the club.
The thing about it is, look, listen, we're either gonna have to really edit this podcast, or it's gonna be. Oh, that reminds me, Saturday.
What?
Hull fans moaning about the extra time. Their goalkeeper, and I'm not joking you, was reading War and Peace twice during goal kicks. And then the wee shites are moaning on Twitter that it was like 6-7 minutes. It's like, oh, that was... No, it wasn't. Your keeper was freaking reading War and Peace during a football match. That's... Anyway. And it made it more interesting. But that's my also ours end of I don't like the fact that Hull fans can't actually see what's in front of them, which was their keeper cheating.
A fair play for the whole fans that came. They're having a horrible time there at the moment. aren't they?
Listen, you feel sorry for them. Listen, joking aside, as a club, no one should go through what they're going through. You mentioned Blackpool. Hull are on a very, very similar road to where.
Look at Blackburn.
Well, Blackpool's more the worry. Blackpool,
yeah, true, yeah.
Blackpool are facing oblivion if they're not careful. So could Hull. Anyway, my other R's, I've got one more R's end. Well, I've got two. Yeah, I'll go back to you, Marvin, in a second. Don't worry, no one's forgotten about you. You're all right. You're hard to forget about. And that is that Anthony Ryan, please hurry up and get well soon, fella. We're all rooting for you. And my very last R's end of the show, for me, not for you, Marv, because you're after me, is... if we can get that support like we had for the last 10 minutes on Saturday for every game, no bastard's going to beat us at Loftus Road this season. I can tell you guys, well friggin' done. Amazing atmosphere at the end.
Thanks, Paul. You just stole my one. Thank you very much. Yeah, you really did. You really did. Seriously, I'm not happy right now. No, honestly, but back to that point. Let's get behind the players, man. Look, we know how good they are because, the results lately have shown it. Just let's continue getting behind them, even when we're going through our bad patches. Continue supporting the players. Let's continue boosting their confidence up because we've got a very good group of players, and let's just continue just motivating them. And who knows, we may have a real exciting season ahead of us.
Real exciting is avoiding relegation, mid-table, and building from that. This podcast is dedicated to the memory of Lawalawa's father. May he rest in peace.
Rest in peace, bro.
Predictions time, guys. Thom.
Yes.
We've got Brentford.
Yes.
Is it local derby?
We'll do Brentford.
Even though it's Middlesex? All
It'll
right.
mean nothing to me.
Come on.
We'll do them 2-1.
Yeah? Scores?
Matt Smith
Cool.
and Yeni Imbokoto.
Okay. I like that. Marv?
I'll say 2-1. We win 2-1.
Okay. Going back to Thom, Cardiff.
We're going to lose to Cardiff, I'm afraid. I think Neil Warnock's going to do us 2-0.
Do that?
I have, I'm afraid.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think Warnock's good, isn't he? The signings there have been solid. They've had an excellent start to the season. I think we're all right this year. I'm just not sure we're sort of getting a brilliant result away at one of the teams who's looked best so far.
Fair enough, Marv.
I'm trying to be positive. Obviously, Cardiff are a great side. But if we beat Cardiff, I am going to get excited on Twitter on Saturday evening. I tell you, I will turn into the #1 happy clapper. But
That rule's taken.
Yeah, without win, but we know that. But my, honestly, I reckon we'll lose. Probably 2-1. But if we get a draw, I'll be happy because Cardiff are a very good team. But one thing I did notice last season, when we do play a bit of long ball with Matt Smith up front, they did struggle against us. So maybe stick to their long ball tactics for this time on Saturday, and we may even win.
Yeah. These two bastards aren't coming back in the podcast. They thought we were. So, Rahul, no pressure. Whether you want to be the podcast or not.
Yeah.
What's your prediction?
Brentford, I think we'll win. I also want to see at least one or two of the young kids, but I think we'll win. And then Cardiff, screw it. I think we'll win as well. Why
Yes, we're going to win.
By 3 goals.
Anyone want to hear my 3 predictions on each game? No. Right. Brentford, I think, will absolutely destroy them because
We'll put them out of business.
Anyone notice they changed their badge sneakily in the summer?
Last summer.
Yeah, they kind of looked across between like Woss and Barnet. I'm not really getting it. I'm not feeling it. I mean, all right. Anyway, so hopefully we'll do them. I see the reason why not. They're having a horrible season. They're going to play the reserve team.
I'm loving it.
So it's going. I actually shouldn't say that. Cardiff. I'm kind of thinking. Do you know what? I'm thinking 1-0. I am thinking we can do this 1-0.
And we beat them last season.
Do you know why we're going to beat them 1-0?
Why?
Because we can. And that, everyone, is open all hours. Thank you for listening.
QPR, QPR, Brisbane Rangers are on the up and up. QPR, QPR.